Now I've been working on the timber to making sure it fits. I've got the side pieces up. This is just the passenger side. This piece in the rear is all in place. Everything fits, or it does now because I had to alter things. This piece of timber here is the cover piece. I've got to trim that back a bit because the insulation I've put in is a bit thicker, so it sticks down too far. Now this is the piece that had the hidden fixings. I was going to put something in to replicate that, and what I was thinking of was putting in door card clips, but by the time I trim this back, I'm not going to have enough room to put the clips in. It'll actually compromise the strip, so I'm just going to put screws. The only place you'll see them is when you're sitting in the back if you tilt your head up, which is probably unlikely anyway. And a lot of other people have done that when they've repaired it anyway, so I'll do that. The problem I had in putting these side pieces in, and I've probably mentioned this, is that everything's interconnected. So if you alter one piece, another piece is not going to fit. Now what I found, I'll just move this out of the way, is that piece above the windscreen. Now that's the piece I made, and I covered it and fitted it in. Now that was all very nice, but I've had to remove the material cover and reshape it, and the reason being is that when you put the side pieces in, which are under this cloth here, it didn't quite fit in the corner there, so I've had to change all of that, and I had to do the same on that side. So after all the effort of covering that strip, I've had to take that material off, reshape it, and make sure everything else fits. So I've now got all of the trim pieces fitted, and yes, I had to alter the timber to get them to fit. And part of the reason for that is that I've repaired some of these timbers, and the final finish may not have been correct. So it is now. It fits. The only complication I will have is that I need to make enough room for, it fits now timber to timber, but when you put the cloth in, the cloth takes up space and makes it hard to fit the pieces together. So before I cover them, I may well take a little bit more off the timber on the joins to make sure that they fit when they're covered with cloth. So that's not so bad. What I'm about to do now is I'll actually staple these side sections up and trim that cloth off, and what I'll also be doing is stapling the middle section up onto this timber here. I'll take the cover off, of course. I've got to reshape that, but I'll staple that up, and I'll also staple this rear section in at least up onto here. Now I did mention with that rear piece that there is a steel support, which you might be able to see it there. It screws into there and comes along here, so I'll put that in and then staple the this rear section here onto this timber. I won't put it onto the rear yet, I've still got work to do there, but certainly up until this section here I should be able to staple things up. And I won't put the cover strip on at that stage because I'll need to finish this rear section, but I'll certainly shape it and make sure it's able to fit there without altering the way the headlining sits. I've just finished tacking up the the middle section at the rear here. Don't know whether it's in focus, I'm a bit too close, but that's up. Tack along the edges and trim that. Got to do a little bit of work with the front panel here. It's just a little bit tight on this rear corner, so I'll pull that off and that'll be able to push up easier. But it's coming alright. Not perfect, but it's quite presentable. What I'm now about to do is to put this rear section in. Just turn around. It's the metal hoop screws in there, so I'll just screw that in. The intention will be to put it up onto here and tack it. So it's going to be a little bit awkward. There's not a lot of room to work up there, but I'll work a way of doing that, and I'll tack that piece up, and I'll have to provide tension on that because it won't it's really got to be pulled forward from that metal hoop, so it's going to be a little bit awkward, but I'll find a way of doing that and get that in position. Then I'll have to look at the cover piece that goes across. So as I say, not a lot of room with that cover piece, but it's awkward to get in, and as I've already mentioned, I'm going to screw it in. It'll be a lot easier in terms of fitting. I've just screwed the hoop up on this rear section, so that's fitted in nicely. The difficulty now is that I've got to pull this section forward and staple it up behind the beam there. Now, I don't have to get it completely tight, and the reason for that is that this pleat here is actually much bigger than the bar that goes through it, so it enables you to pull that forward, and as well as being able to pull it forward, you can pull it back to get the right tension. Now the difficulty I've got is that working out how much tension I need to put on this to staple it up there in the first place. I'm just working that out at the moment. I don't think I need to put a lot of tension, I just need to have it even, and that's going to be a problem, to get an even tension all the way along the length of this seam. So I'll start in the middle. I've just got the middle mark there, and I'll probably put just a single staple up there to hold it up, and then I'm going to have to make sure that the cloth is pulled to both sides, so I don't end up with a sag somewhere in the middle there, or somewhere in the middle, between the middle and the sides. So it's just going to be a little bit awkward to get it in. The other thing I'm going to have to do is actually put this cover piece on to hold it in position. So initially I'll put a couple of staples up here, and then a few staples along the edge, not a full staple of the seam, in case I've got to take it off, and I'll put the cover piece in and screw that in to make sure that I've got even tension all the way along. So I've got to be able to do that. Now, to put that cover piece in, I really need to put these side pieces in too, so I might as well cover those and screw those up as well. So there's just not a simple thing of staple this up and continue. So there's a few things I have to do first. I'm just putting this rear section in. I've just stapled it up to the support here, and I'm ready to put the filler piece in. Now that's where it's stapled along the roof line there. I'll just trim the edge of that off. Now what I've got to do is to put this piece up. It's got to go a bit hard to do this. It's got to go up into there, a bit hard to see. It's got to go up into there and screw on. Now I've got to find the position for that. I need to do that next, because it's I don't want it sitting in the wrong place, because it won't meet the outside timbers. The number of screws, I haven't worked that out yet, but it will take a reasonable number. I'm only using small screws, but it's not so much to hold the upholstery in place, because that's held in place as it is, but it's going to provide two things. One, it's going to cover the join, and secondly, it's going to, when it's put in, it pushes this up towards the roof line. So it's pushing this cloth up to the roof line and giving it more tension. So that's what that cover piece is actually going to do. I've finally got the section of the head lining above the rear seat done. The first part of it anyway, that piece there, and I've got the cover strip put in place over the seam between it and the middle section. I haven't stapled that up to the rear yet. That's something I'll do soon. The bits of timber in the corner there, that's the cover piece that goes over the join between this and the material that comes down to the top of the seat. I've just been fitting that in place to make sure it's the right size and so on. Got to make a few adjustments to that. I haven't covered these pieces yet. I will be doing those, and I will be doing this cover piece here. I've finished fitting the final side strip in, this one here. Had to make a few adjustments to the head lining because there was a bit of a gap up in here, so I've lowered the head lining a little bit, so that's now as good as I can get it. The next process, as I've already mentioned, is moving towards the rear. Just keep on going backwards. But the front section, apart from the sun visors, I haven't done those yet, and I haven't put the speaker in yet. I did put the light in. I'll put the speaker in when I get a new speaker. So there's one on order. Hopefully won't be too long, so I'll be able to fit that in. It's taking quite some time to complete the lining inside, and it's by no means finished. I guess some people might be saying, why are you taking so long? It'll take as long as it takes. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not anxious to get the car on the road. That's not the whole point. The point is to restore the car, and that's my main focus. It'll take as long as it takes. If I have to redo things to get it to the standard I want, that's what I'll do. So, as I say, I'm not in a burning rush to get it on the road, and as far as I'm concerned, it's progressing quite nicely. Certainly a lot better than what it was when I started, but still a lot more to do. But I'll keep chipping away at it, and it will eventually be completed. Now this is the cover piece. I've just screwed that with a minimum number of screws. It's really not taking any tension at all. It's just covering a seam. So that goes down, and we'll meet up with this cover piece here when I've finished making some adjustments to that. Now, just turning around a bit, I've having resized that, I've recovered it, and I've started to cover these side pieces that go in against the door. Now, I can't finalise that one until I've got this piece in. That's what I've done on this side. I'll finish this piece, covered that, and it fits now with the other cloth trim piece alongside the windscreen there. So that is now screwed in place, and it comes up and it meets the D window timber there. So I'll probably continue on this side, on the driver's side, and I'll cover this piece, and then I'll continue on and finish this trim piece here, and that will get it the upholstery or the headlining done up to this rear section here. So I'll try and get that all out of the way, and then I'll move on to the section around the rear window.